What's up, everyone? Welcome to another very special episode of Draft Day Dynasties. I'm C. Jackson Cowart, the community manager here at Wolverine Studios, and I appreciate you joining us for this 23rd episode of Draft Day Dynasties and the second showing off Draft Day Sports College Football 2023. If you haven't seen any of the previous episodes in this series, you can catch up on all of those on our YouTube channel, and you can always catch us live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern on the official Wolverine Studios Twitch channel, as most of you are doing here. Last week, we kicked off this new series playing College Football 2023, which launched in First Access last Friday and releases in full next Friday, August 26th. We'll be taking it a little bit slow in these first few episodes to allow the dev team to finish any last-minute additions before we jump into the big Week 1 showdown, starting, I think, maybe not next week, but the week after. We'll hop into that. So, for this episode, I mostly want to dive into one of the biggest areas in this year, areas of improvement in this year's game, and that's game planning. You guys saw last week I was tooling around. I got a little bit excited with all of the game planning features, but that's because there's just so much detail that goes into preparing for your opponent each week. So I really want to highlight that even more in this episode, and especially as we're preparing for that Week 1 showdown that is coming up in a couple weeks here. So first, we got to set our depth chart. So I'm going to be leaning heavily on you guys to help me make those stardom, sit-em decisions, as well as the nitty-gritty game planning stuff that honestly many of you are probably way better than me at doing. So definitely going to be leaning on a lot of you as my de facto assistant coaches. Got to be honest, don't really trust my offensive and defensive coordinators here. I looked at them last week, not exactly the creme de la creme. So definitely going to be relying on you guys. So if you're watching live on Twitch, please say hello in the chat. Don't be shy. I already have Parm _4_20. Appreciate that name there, saying LFG college football. I agree, man. College football is almost here. It is here in a sense if you're a first access player, but the college football season is almost here. The official college football launch for this game is almost here. Slightly Jason in the chat saying OOTP, but college football. I think that's a compliment, right? OOTP does some great stuff. Don't need to disparage their games here. We love all simulation games on the market. They do an incredible job out of the park baseball, for those of you that don't know. And I think that's a compliment to Wolverine Studios to say it's the OTP for college football. I think that's a fair assessment here. I like to think this is the best college football game on the market. I know you guys probably think I'm a little biased because I'm streaming on the official tag here, but you got to flip the order of that. I would not be streaming this game if I did not think that this was the best college football game on the market. You guys might think I'm being silly here. I am serious. This game is awesome. I feel the same way about the college basketball game, the pro football game, the pro basketball game. They are absolutely exquisite. And I'm really excited to dive more into this game. So let's go ahead and hop right into that. Like I said, if you're in the chat, as you two have already done, say hello. Don't be shy. Give a wave emoji. Say hello. Crack a little joke in there. See if you guys can get me a laugh on the stream. Let me know what team you guys are repping in your own playthroughs. If you have first access already, if you're waiting until the launch next week, let me know what teams that you guys are playing with. We're going to be rolling with San Diego State here. I lived in San Diego. I have a lot of friends that went to San Diego State. So this team is near and dear to my heart. So we're going to be hopping into this. Like I said last week, bear with me. This is a newer experience for me. I have a lot more experience playing the college basketball game. So it makes me even more excited just to unpeel everything in this college football game because there is so much here. I grew up playing the NCAA football games, as I'm sure many of you guys did. I don't think anything has ever scratched the itch quite like this game does. So this is also a beta build. Not technically beta, but it is first access. So the devs are still working out some kinks here, making sure that this game is as polished as it can be. Still some room to add new features too. So if you see anything as I'm playing through that you think, hey, that reminds me of a feature that I don't see here that I think would be good for the game, or if there's some sort of bug you notice on my stream or something, that's why. So go ahead and reach out and say, hey, I noticed that bug, or hey, I thought of a feature, or hey, you're just kind of an idiot because of the way that you set your game plan, and that would be a fair assessment. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Let's hop into this. If you guys can't already tell, I am absolutely stoked for this game. In the chat, Parm420 says, Ohio State Buckeyes, baby, love it. The Ohio State Chestnuts are number 2 in the preseason poll here in my playthrough. Georgia Dogs got the number 1 spot. I think that's appropriate after they won the national title last year. You got Alabama Red Wave 3. You got the Cougars and the Settlers. It's a pretty solid top 5 there. I actually really like how anytime you start this up, this top 25 is always going to be different, but I always feel like it's a really appropriate top 25. You never really see anything too crazy or too outlandish. It's not like you won't see any interesting teams in here, right? I mean, you have Virginia in the top 25. You don't see that every year, obviously. Cincinnati, love the respect for the Cubs there as a non-Power 5 team. Bill Dozer in the chat says, hello, I have not played this game, but I know football and how games from Wolverine Studios work. Hey, man, I can relate to that. I do not have as much experience with this game, but I know football, and I know the Wolverine Studios obviously makes the best sports simulation games on the market. So, pretty excited for this. So, all right. So, like I said at the top, what we're going to try to do for this episode is we're really going to work on setting my game plan for this team as the head coach coming in first year with San Diego State. Got a really good quarterback and a really good running back and a lot of question marks. So, we're going to try to set this depth chart here, really set us up for success ahead of the season. And then I want to dive into the game planning features here. There's just so much to dive into. We're going to set a general game plan, and then I think maybe in a future episode, we'll tweak it a little bit for our Week 1 opponent. Let's hop in here. I keep speaking in generic terms about Week 1. I don't actually know who we're playing. Okay, so it looks like it's open here, and then at Winston-Salem. Look at that. The Black Knights or something there. Love to see that. Okay, so we got a road game at Winston-Salem. Then we're going to be playing UNLV, New Mexico, Colorado State. Doesn't look like too bad of a slate. Look at that. Game against Hawaii, Week 12. For those of you who don't know or who don't follow every week, I've been running a Hawaii college basketball sim for about, 20 weeks now? So just finished the second season there. That one's not dead per se, but putting the pause on that one. But I love to see that Hawaii is going to rear their ugly head, make an appearance in this series too. And then look at that. Ending the season with South Bend coming to San Diego to play at the Warriors. That is a massive, massive game. We're talking about if we have a good run here, maybe we're 8-3, 9-2 heading into that game. I mean, that could be legitimate for bowl contention. But of course, we're probably going to be 5-6 going into this game, needing to win to make a bowl and get blown out by 40. But we'll see. While I'm here, actually, preferred opponent. Is there anything we want to do here? I mean, do we want to try to set any opponents? I mean, I would love to get a game against maybe the Geese. Can we play the Geese? Can we get the doors blown off us against the Geese? We'll see. Love to play the Woodchucks as well. Love that game at home. That'd be fun. And then let's get a similar prestige game here. I'm going to save that. This might already be set. I'm not sure. Doesn't really matter. But anyway, okay. So before we set the depth chart, I want to go to positions. I really love this screen. It gives you just kind of an overview of essentially the strength of your team. I really love the way this is set up to freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. So you kind of have a very quick glance for recruiting purposes too at what you're going to need. So man, we are going to have way too many linebackers. Can we trade? Can we trade a linebacker to somebody else to get a backup quarterback? Don't think we can. But okay. So just at a glance here, I'm going to sort by overall just to see where the strength of the team is, and then we'll build the depth chart out from there. So as we saw last week, strong safety, free safety, we're absolutely loaded at the safety spot, and I love to see that. I think a team that has a really good safety, I just think there's so many things you can do with that. You have so much flexibility, and you can really kind of be on the attack, I feel like. When you have a good safety, you know that you can be, aggressive in your blitz scheme. You can kind of you can use that safety in different blitz packages, or you can blitz up, the front seven and have kind of that center fielder back there, knowing that you're safe. So I really love how strong we are in the back end of our secondary, really at both spots too. We have multiple playmakers at both positions and some young ones too. So I love to see that. And then it looks like quarterback and running back. Pretty strong there, but everywhere else, tight end, I know it says that we're decent there, but if you look at the depth chart, I'm not super impressed with those guys. And then you go down receiver, it is really a weak spot on the team. And our defensive line is not really going to cut it. We're pretty good at the defensive tackle spot, but there's only so much you can do with a great defensive tackle, especially if they're not a great pass rushing defensive tackle. So, and defensive end, linebacker, we're honestly just kind of embarrassing. So this is going to be a team that's really going to be heavy, trying to defend against the pass, I would say. I think if we can kind of lean into, leaning on these safeties, I would love to run a 3-3-5 if it works. We'll see. As we're setting our depth chart, we'll see kind of how the personnel shakes out. But if we could run a 3-3-5 with this team, have a few safeties back there rather, have our starting safeties, and then get a third one on the field at all times, and really just kind of take away some of the pressure from that front six, and lean into the strength of our defense. And then offensively, quarterback, running back, not a bad combination to have there, but our receivers are really poor, so I'm thinking maybe we just kind of scheme up some nice throws here, some nice easy throws. Don't ask too much of our receivers to get open. Really get them in positions to be open, maybe in the play action, and lean on our strong running game. We have a really good starting running back, but I know we have some good backups as well. So that's what I'm thinking heading into setting our depth chart. So let's hop right into that here and see what we are cooking with. I checked last week. We looked... Actually, I'll just do this right now. We looked at the email right here that was showing us, or at least we'll see in a second. Might have lost my emails here. I think I did. I updated my build. So this is one of those, like I said, I'm streaming in first access. So we have lost our email address. I think the athletic director may have reset my email address when he was... updating my computer, so to speak. So that's okay. But we got an email letting us know, some of the risers and fallers from training camp. But we can also, I believe we can check that elsewhere too. Where am I? Where would I find that? Doesn't really matter though. But yeah, it's somewhere. But I don't really care. Doesn't really matter. Some guys got better. Some guys got worse. Let's check the roster. Let's do it this way. We'll set the depth chart officially on the depth chart screen. But let's just go player by player here. I'll make notes on my own privately so that we kind of know who we have set as the starters here. So let's do this thing. So let me get my handy-dandy notepad ready here. Okay. At quarterback, I think this is going to be an easy decision. But I do want to give everybody a shot here in this quarterback room. But, man, Scott Taylor is just, he's a stud. 99 skill rating, so don't really have to worry about him not knowing what he's doing back there. He's by far our most accurate quarterback here. Mark Berry can make a bit of a case there, and he does have a better arm. So that's interesting. We're looking at Mark Berry. He's got a bigger arm here. He's comparatively accurate. Same speed, but he's just not as skilled at the quarterback spot. So... honestly, one thing we're going to want to do here at the same time is set our red shirts, because that's going to be our next task here. I really want to get your guys' opinion here. I don't want to anger Mark Berry. I feel like it's really disrespectful to redshirt a senior. But next year, we're going to be coming into this thing with Taylor's going to be gone. Berry's going to be gone. And, I don't mind handing over the reins to Frederick Shepard. This dude's a stud. He's got a decent arm already. He's not very skilled yet, so I expect him to get better over time. But I do wonder about redshirting Mark Berry and giving him a shot to be the starter next year. Palm420 says, I don't like Berry's intelligence. He's going to throw more picks than Taylor. You're definitely right there. His intelligence is the worst in the QB room, which you never really like to see. Bill Dozer said, could Berry be a Hail Mary specialist off the bench? That's an interesting idea because he's got that 93 cannon arm. Let's check, too. Let's look at view personality here. Okay, so this is interesting. So we have a couple traits with these guys. It's kind of, this doesn't quite work as well for me visually, so I'm gonna click on Scott Taylor here just to kind of work with this. Oh, roster management, back to roster. All right, I can't click on the. I don't know what I'm running into here. This is probably just a technical hiccup here, so this will be fun. But I want to click on their player cards to see their personality traits too, because that, especially for the quarterback, like that is going to weigh into our decision here. I didn't really see anything alarming from that screen, but let me see if I can try to pull up their player card. Sometimes you got to click around here. Probably shouldn't have downloaded the build an hour before I started this, but all right. So Scott Taylor, see if we can get his player card up. All right, I don't think we're gonna learn more about Scott Taylor this way, so that's fine. All right, we'll check it out the old-fashioned way. But sort of my QB, we'll view their personality again. Got a real real slow mover here. But Bill makes an interesting point, bringing Barry off the bench maybe if we need a big arm. But honestly, like Scott Taylor's got a decent arm too at 87. I'm not super worried about his ability to get it downfield. My thought is just whether it's disrespectful to redshirt a senior, which, I mean, it is, like, objectively speaking, but, that just is what it is, so. All right, I'm frozen up here. Coaches are a little mad at me. I'm standing in front of them in this meeting here. We're trying to talk about personnel decisions, and I got a spreadsheet up for them, and they are just waiting with bated breath. So, Sio Elk in the chat, CYOELKE. Love a clarification there on how you'd like me to pronounce your Twitch username. But anyway, Sio Elk, that's what I'm gonna call you here. Says, are these the actual players for San Diego State or just fictional players? So these are just fictional players for San Diego State. If you'd like to build out a roster file with all of the real players across all of college football, you are more than welcome to. Knock yourself out. If you do, let me know, because I would love to download it. But no, these are just computer generated. Every time you make a new file, it's going to create a brand new batch of players for you, which is actually pretty fun because it does allow you to have more variety in your saves. If you decide that you want to run multiple saves here, but you don't want to already have all of the the kind of institutional knowledge from what you have. So let's say you're a San Diego State fan. And you don't just want to run with the same exact save every time. You don't want Scott Taylor to be your starting quarterback every single run. Then you can go ahead and just fire up a new one, and it should generate a brand new roster file for you. All right, so my computer is firmly driving the struggle bus. So we're gonna have a little Q&A here as I'm getting the roster thing fired up. But all right, let's see. Real slow go. I gotta be honest. I don't think that we can blame the CF23 team on this one. I think we can blame Zephyrus. Yeah. Blame the team that makes Zephyrus laptops. Go ahead and send them some hate mail. But, all right. Well, we're close enough to this screen here. So I'm going to click roster, see if we can get back to where we were and fire through here. This is live television, guys. So, that's what you get sometimes. But, all right. Here we go. Looks like we're flying through here like a herd of turtles. Curious in the chat, how many of you guys have already played First Access and what are your guys' impressions from it? I've only tooled around a little bit. I made kind of a test file just to mess around, learn a bit about the game, see what was going on, but I kind of really wanted my exploration phase to be as I was simming this in this series. So I haven't played too much on this, but any of you guys gotten too far in here? Playing First Access, got a season going, any game planning, anything like that? Love to see it if you're in the chat, any of you guys that have played. All right, so we have a dual screen situation here, but we got the set red shirt. So I am not going to try to learn more about Scott Taylor's personality. I don't think that he wants me to. I feel like this might have been a bit of sabotage from him. So, Scott, I hear you loud and clear. You're the starting quarterback of the team. That is all we need to know. But the big question now is whether we redshirt Mark Berry. And I'm wondering, the thing is we can break the redshirt too. So if Scott Taylor does go down middle of the year, I'm not too concerned about it. Because we would just be able to bring Berry back. So all right, let's check personality one more time. I'm not going to try to click on Scott Taylor's actual profile because, not going to try to do that again. But all right, so Mark Berry's gunslinger. That's good and bad, obviously, right? In the nature of a gunslinger here, kind of what we expected with that big arm. So I'm not super surprised to see that. Just see if there's anything concerning or particularly noteworthy about these guys. They're decent leaders. Scott Taylor doesn't have the best work ethic that I'd like to see. Not the best sport either. But I'm not particularly concerned about him. I don't think there's any major red flags here. He doesn't have any traits, so, nothing good or bad there. So, I think we're just going to go ahead and install Scott Taylor as the starter. I think that's the right call there. I think Mark Berry, man, I just don't know if I could really vie with the realism of redshirting a senior. If you guys can think of an example in recent memory where somebody's actually redshirted a senior quarterback, then by all means, bring it up, and that's what I'll do this time. But I think for now, we're just going to go Taylor, Barry, and then if we're looking at that third spot here, as we're pulling up the ratings, I wouldn't mind getting Frederick Shepard some opportunity as that redshirt freshman. I think he's probably going to be the starter next year. I would have to guess. He's got a pretty big arm, and he's more accurate than James Price. So I think Shepard is going to have that third gig, and then maybe we'll circle back at the end, decide whether we want to redshirt Mark Berry. All right, there we go. Got through the quarterbacks. Don't think the rest are going to be quite as arduous here. But let's see. Okay, so I'm sorting by overall, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you should rely on the overall for your players. All right, overall is the best way to think of it is, in a general sense, if this guy was playing on any team in the country on average, that's how you would assess him. But it doesn't mean that he's going to be the best in every scheme. For example, let's say you're running a very clear one-cut rushing system, right? So you don't need necessarily somebody that can create a lot for themselves. But you do want somebody that has some burst, has some vision. Well, you're going to be looking at a guy like Rodney Paris a lot differently than you're going to be looking at someone like Frank Godinez, right? Rodney Paris has that 95 speed. That is mega. That is legit, right? So if he's got a hole, he's gone. But he can't really create that much for himself. He's got that 62 agility. So if somebody touches him, he's probably coming down. So, you don't want to rely completely on overall when you're setting this. You do want to look at the different skills that they have, especially, let's say we want a pass catching back, right? Rodney Paris is not our guy. Maybe Robert Brunner, even though he's got a worse overall, he might be better if we're using our running backs out of the backfield. Now, I think we're going to be a pretty traditional rushing team here, just given the strength of our offensive line, which I think is pretty decent, and the fact that our receivers aren't great. So I think that this is probably going to be Robert Greer's job. Probably going to use a bit of Rodney Paris here, but in the chat, Parm420 said, I've redshirted the senior running back recently and nothing negative came of it. He didn't transfer or anything. He's a third down / goal line back for my squad, but I don't think I've ever redshirted the quarterback unless he was a freshman. Yeah, I've never redshirted anybody in any game I've ever played unless they were a freshman or a sophomore, I don't think. Maybe I've been a little cheeky about it and redshirted the junior if I thought he had a shot to have a couple good years, but I've never redshirted the senior, so I don't really feel great ethically doing it, but got to do what you can for the team. So, okay, so let's look at this running back room here. I think Robert Greer, pretty obviously here, 92 overall. He's got some good speed. He's got good hands. Very, very skilled at the position. By far the most skilled player at the position in the running back room. He's only 5'7", but I really don't mind that. He's got the best agility on the team. So I think this is clearly Robert Greer's job to lose. But I do like that we have some depth here. The big decision is going to be who is our number 2 guy and how much do we want to split these carries. I always think it's good if you have some depth with your running backs to keep them fresh. Helps avoid injury. Really helps them be more effective, especially if you have 2, even 3 guys that you can run with, which is really what we have here. So I think we might have an opportunity really to have a 3-headed monster, and especially with how fast Rodney Paris is, I could see us coming up with some fun packages during the year just to get him in the open field, on some outside sweeps, maybe outside toss, something like that. And using somebody like Godinez and Greer between the tackles here. Neither are particularly strong here, but they do have that nice agility to allow them to break some tackles here. So I really like this 3-headed monster. What do you guys think? In terms of this number 2 running back spot, I really think it's got to be Godinez with that agility that's pretty significant there. He's not the fastest guy, but he's just a number 2 back. He's really a spell back, if you will. He's got decent hands, at least better hands than Rodney Paris. He knows what he's doing with the position. So I think I think it's got to be Godinez as the number 2. I hope for the Godinez family that I'm pronouncing his name properly. And then I think it's going to be Rodney Paris, number 3. Just because that speed is so game-breaking, and nobody else, really has the full package here. I do like that Seth Schwartz also has 87 agility. That puts him in the Greer and Godinez range. So that's encouraging. But he's dumb as a rock. And I don't mean that, dismissively for Seth. I mean, Seth has worked really hard to be a part of this team. But he is just an absolute numbskull. So don't think we want to rely too much on him. Yeah, don't think that he's going to be... And 60 speed. I mean, that's tough. That's really tough. Not really going to get much there. So I think Brunner is clearly the 4th back here. And then between Schwartz and Edmondson, Bill Dozer says Godinez looks like a good option for short yardage. I agree. He looks like an excellent option for short yardage. I think Greer is probably still the better option for short yardage. So I think Greer is going to be kind of our 3-down guy. But I'm interested if we can use Godinez, especially if Greer is getting a little bit winded. I feel good about Godinez there. But still, I think as much as we can get Greer on the field, we probably can. It should probably be like, a 70-20-10 situation in terms of splitting the carries between these 2 guys. I mean, these 3 guys. Maybe a 70-15-15 situation. And then for this 5th spot, which I don't even know if we have a 5th spot on the depth chart. I don't think we do, but I think it's going to be Edmondson. And I think Schwartz is a pretty great example of somebody that needs another year. So, gosh, I really don't want to click on his player card, but I think I will. See if we can get this working here. All right, Seth Schwartz. We're going to get your player card here? Don't think we are. All right. Well, Schwartz, I'm going to make a note here. We should definitely redshirt Schwartz. And I kind of think we should redshirt Mark Berry. I'm curious if we want to redshirt Edmondson, but he's already a junior. He's not very good, so I think we'll just leave that alone. So there we go. We got our running back room set, and that's a pretty solid one. I feel really good about that group. Fullback. I don't know how much we're going to use the fullback. I mean, there's definitely some formations where we're going to need one. And, especially if we're going to be a run-heavy team. But I'm not super impressed with what I've seen from the fullbacks here as we're loading. Apologies for the technical errors here. But like I said, that's what I was kind of expecting, potentially, whether it's my computer's fault or not. So, all right. See if we can get the fullbacks to pop up here. Go to guard and come back to fullback, maybe. Or I'll just hop out of here. Actually, it's a good time to check the staff and see what our offensive scheme is here with our coordinator. And see what he's trying to run. I think we might be frozen, though. Oh, there we go. Some sort of reaction. Black screen of death here. All right. Here's what I think we're going to do. I'm going to see if I can pop out of this thing here real quick. And see if I can hop back in. There we go. Give us a second here. We're adjusting on the fly. We're gonna reload the game, come back in. Should be a much smoother experience for the second half of this here. Didn't make any big decisions, so I don't think we need to worry about losing that. All right. Here we go. Hopefully this should be working properly here. All right. So now we're back in here. Let's go back to the roster. I think we should have some more success here. All right. So now we got everybody here. Now I want to look at Scott Taylor's player page, gosh darn it. There we go. Hey there, Scott. Nice to meet you. All right, that's fine. Just wanted to do that. Okay, so let's check the staff page here. I don't know what was happening before. I was just getting absolutely bombarded there. All right, Brian Moore. From what we know about him, yeah, he's a run-first West Coast hybrid offense. Honestly, I like that a lot. I think that could really work for us, especially with Greer. So I feel pretty good about that. So cool. He's aggressive on offense. Honestly, I'm just going to hand the keys over to Brian Moore, let him do what he wants to do. So that sounds good. So all right, let's head back to the roster. Let's check out what the fullback situation is. Then we can go from there. All right. Gonna pull up the fullback. So I only have 2 fullbacks. This should be a pretty easy call. Oh, wow. Wow, look at Clinton Truitt. My man, Clinton. I don't know if he can block, but he can certainly run. Goodness. Okay, so both of these guys are not great blockers, but Truitt's a better run blocker. That's all I really care about there. He's a little more agile, and man, he has got the jets. So Clinton Truitt's going to be our guy. I definitely feel good about that. So, okay. Set there. Now we're looking at the offensive line. I think let's go to receiver here. It's a little bit more of a logical flow in my brain. We're going to go by overall, but again, that's not, it's not the end-all be-all. So we have these 4 seniors. They're all pretty skilled at the position. The only guy that can really compete there is Frank Bowers, who's very, very agile. And he's a smart guy, but he is just painfully slow. He's got really good hands, though. Frank Bowers is very interesting here as potentially a slot guy. Like, honestly, he might be the best slot guy on the team. Because he's got the best hands of anybody except for Thomas Lee. But Thomas Lee, can't get away from anybody here. 67 agility. That's pretty rough. Man, 5'9", $167, sopping wet. That's not great. But he's got great hands. Anyway, so Frank Bowers, though, very interesting. Great hands, great agility. Not sure what else you really want there. Decent intelligence for the position, which is fine. Not as important for receiver, in my opinion. And then really skilled. I mean, honestly, Frank Bowers is, very interesting to me. Competitive dude. Just kind of seems like he has everything you want. No traits, that's fine. Very interested in Frank Bowers. But all right, let's see. Who's our number 1 receiver here? So, kind of looks like it's going to be one of these 4 guys. Curious to see what you guys think about this. I don't know how many receivers we're really going to be relying on, but we do have such a good quarterback. It's not like I want to just completely, punt the passing game. So, let's see. All of these guys look pretty similar in terms of their agility, their overall speed. Richard Roberts has slightly worse hands, but they're all very skilled at the position. So this is an interesting competition between these guys. Let's see if we can learn anything here. Yeah, Jack King is a possession receiver, but that's all we learned there. Again, sort by overall. Okay, so Jack King is a possession receiver. We know that. He's got that trait. That's very interesting. So I think Jack King probably is going to be our number 2. Maybe he's our number 1, but I'm trying to see what Earl Fulton, what separates him here. So they're all seniors. Among this group, the group with the decent hands, right? 80, 85 here. There's just not a lot that separates any of these guys. None of these guys are really great at anything. But they all have decent speed. And that's what's interesting to me is all of these guys, 80-plus speed, except for William Woods. And he is quick as heck, but if we're looking for a quick guy here and we're punting on speed, I'd probably be looking more to Frank Bowers. I mean, he's painfully slow, but he does have great hands, and as a sophomore, he's already pretty skilled. So I think the top three's got to be these three. It's got to be King, Fulton, and Roberts. Those are the only ones, that have a combination of high-level speed, hands, and decent agility. And skill. So I think that it's probably going to be those three. If I had to look at a number one receiver here, I think the most complete guy might honestly be King. He's got the best hands of this group. He's pretty decent, most skilled. He's got that trait. So maybe we do Jack King number one here. We'll go Earl Fulton number two. And then Parm says, I like Roberts with the speed and endurance. He's going to drop some passes, but I'll take that risk with the hopes that his speed could spread the field. That's true. To get one of our two X guys with that level of speed, that's a good point. So maybe we do Richard Roberts as the one, right? Kind of the guy spreading the field. We have Jack King as our number two possession receiver. Fulton at number three. He's kind of the complete package. And then for that fourth guy, you would think it would be William Woods, but this is a very interesting decision between William Woods and Frank Bowers. Not super interested in Conklin here. He's just got horrible agility, and he's got bad hands. So yeah, he's going to spread the field, but what's he going to do with it? He's not very skilled either. I think Conklin is definitely not in the mix here. I think Conklin is a number 6 receiver type, if you will. So just kind of a depth piece. And then we're definitely going to have some guys that will be able to redshirt. But between Bowers and Woods, all right, so pretty much the same exact size here. Their agility, we're splitting hairs, 96, 94. I'll take them both. Bowers is the smarter guy. He's much slower. So that's the big knock on him. But man, his hands are good. And he's the more skilled guy. I don't know about you guys. It seems to me that it's Frank Bowers. And his endurance is worse, but that's okay. We'll just set it, to take him off the field when he's getting gassed, bring in William Woods. That's fine. But I think it really should be Frank Bowers in that 4 spot. I find him to be very compelling. And then William Woods as our 5th receiver, essentially the Bowers replacement. And then at that 6th spot, we'll bring in Conklin. And then, beyond that, Thomas Lee, probably the only other guy. He's got good hands and he knows the position. So I think it's the only other guy that I'm really interested in even really rostering at this point. And then I think Evans, Goodman, and Schneider all probably need another year of seasoning. They can't really catch, and the only guy that can catch is Goodman, and he's just too slow to do anything with it. So I think we're going to redshirt all those guys, and that's fine by me. I actually feel better about my receiver room than I did when we started this episode, so that's good at least. All right. Got that down. Feel good about that. Our receiving core is going to be very interesting this year. Okay, tight end. You look at Vincenzo Martel. We talked about him a lot last week in that first episode of this series, mostly because of his name. But he's got a game to match, depending on what you're looking for here. So unfortunately, his hands, little crody. Not the best hands that you'd want from kind of your security blanket over the middle of the field. And he's not the best blocker. So I'm kind of struggling to see what it is that, earns him that 86 overall. None of these guys have traits, so don't have to worry about that. But he is strong. 74 for a tight end. I feel pretty decent about that. He's smart at the position. He's our fastest tight end, which isn't really saying a whole lot. His hands are fine. They're on par with everybody else. And, he's skilled enough. He's the only guy that's not going to get winded. So I think the starter is Vincenzo. I don't necessarily want him to be on the field that much. I don't I know that 86 overall pops off the screen, but I'm just not sure how good he really is. You look at someone like Lowell Rourke. He's also skilled. He's got the best hands of the room. So that's encouraging. He's agile enough. He's basically the same speed as Martel. So he's sort of a Martel replacement. I think Rourke is the second guy, so to speak. He's the guy when Martel comes out. But really, Braun is the blocking receiver, the blocking tight end that we want. He's got a 59 run block, which is by far the best of anybody. So I think we'll keep Braun, in our sights here. And then Robert Narvaez looks like a pretty clear redshirt candidate. I don't think we need 4 tight ends. I think we only need 3. He's not that skilled. He's not that fast. And he's not that agile. So, sorry, Robert, but you're going to have to spend this entire season on the bench. Look at that. Tin-clad lad just subscribed with Prime. Appreciate you, Tin-clad lad. Shout out to our first subscription with this new college football series. Tin-clad, hit me up after this on Discord or Twitter or wherever, and I'm going to reveal to you one of the best beach spots that I've ever been to in my entire life. It's in San Diego. I hope you live within 500 miles of San Diego. Otherwise, it's going to be a pretty long trip for you. But appreciate you doing that. Love it. Any of you other guys, if you subscribe, if you toss us a sub here on Twitch, I'll do the same thing. I will enlighten you on the best beach spot I have ever been to in my entire life. That's the tease. Hopefully that's enough for you. All right, let's go to the tackle spot here. This is where things get interesting. So we have 2 tackles. It seems pretty easy to me, 1-2, but let's run through and make sure these guys are actually qualified for the spot. So Joseph Bailey, the only guy who's boasting 80+ on pass blocking and run blocking. Not the strongest fella, so that's a little discouraging, but man, you have an 88 pass blocker at 6'7", 308. I mean, that's the answer. So Joseph Bailey, it's pretty easy. I don't think we need to spend too much time here. Joseph Bailey's our starting left tackle. Bobby Oakes is our starting right tackle. Pretty clear to me. Oakes is the big mauler here, 86 strength, and that 90 run block. That is pretty encouraging. We're going to be running a lot to the right this year. So I love to see that. Wayne Klein, kind of the swing man here. He can go either way. Not a great run blocker, but he does have the strength to be able to compensate for that. And then Gustavo Ford. He's a 92 in his strength, but he's not very technically sound as a blocker, and he doesn't have much skill at the position. So Gustavo is definitely going to be redshirted this year, but I'm pretty excited to see what Gustavo is going to turn into. So I like to see that. Like I said, Klein will be the third guy. Gustavo probably getting slapped with that RS tag. And then we'll keep Horn and Moffitt live as potential subs here. Horn as kind of the right tackle sub. Moffitt is the left tackle sub. Not a great pass blocker, but he does have that strength to be able to hold his own. So go ahead and set that. Horn will be the left tackle. Moffitt will be the right tackle. And then Klein will be both. Perfect. All right, we got our 1-2-3 at tackle. Guard. We might only be able to get through offense today. Parmstead, I might have missed it, but did you show your offensive coordinator and head coach? You might have meant DC there, but let me go ahead and just show it right now so you guys can get a sense of what we're building out here. Show you the offensive coordinator. I just hopped into that, but there was a little bit of technical difficulties earlier, so that might have made things tough. So Brian Moore, pretty nondescript in terms of his training. Decent offensive line guy, so I like to see that. But actually, let's start with head coach. You guys can see what I'm skilled at. So, did I boost myself a little bit high on charisma and leadership? Yes. Is this my stream? Yes. So, no complaints there. I left myself pretty low on development. Special teams, not my cup of tea. Quarterbacks, gave myself a little bump there. I feel good about that. And defensive backs as well. But, yeah, I guess I'm not flexible. I don't know. I must have forgot to do that. I don't know where attention to detail is, but it must be low if I forgot. So that's me. Run a spread first, whatever. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to defer to my offensive coordinator here. So he runs a West Coast hybrid. Runs mostly from power. It's about taking what the defense gives you in the passing game, and the offense relies on big wide receivers. Okay, so I don't know if we really have that many big wide receivers. So I don't know if that's really going to work for Brian Moore. But also running mostly from power formations, I don't know, a little frustrating. But that's fine. I mean, we'll make it work, right? Like we'll figure it out. We do have a really fast fullback. He can't really block, but he's fast. Maybe we'll just do a lot of fullback runs. I mean, we'll have just like 4 rushers. And then we'll take a look at Pritchard. We'll take a look at him maybe in a minute. Let's finish setting the depth chart here for the offensive side of the ball. And then might be all we get to, but that's fine. I don't mind spreading these out a little bit. I like hanging out with you guys every Thursday. I'm not in a rush here. I think we're going to have plenty of fun over this season, so not too bad. Parm said head coach likes speedy receivers. Offensive coordinator likes tall receivers. Let's keep that in mind when making DC decisions, DC meaning depth chart. Yeah, I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. The head coach is me, and I'm happy to change that. I don't necessarily need to be relying on speedy receivers. I do like speedy receivers. Parm says you have a few 6'4 guys. Maybe I'm thinking of running back. I was very small. Let's see. You're right. Jack King is 6'4. And that's kind of it, though. We got Fulton and Roberts as some of our top guys. Bree says Jackson Coward is a 5-star coach. Someone told me he was a half-star. Yeah. Yeah. There might have been a little bit extra juice added into some of those ratings. I don't know who set those. Certainly wasn't me, but I'm not going to complain. All right, let's go to the guard spot. Now that we know we're running a power approach with our offensive coordinator here. Okay, so Francisco Liu. Skip to my Liu here. Freshman redshirt. Very good run blocker. I like to see that. He's the only guy who can run block at all, and we are going to be a heavy, heavy running team. So, congratulations, Francisco. You are our starting guard here. I'm thinking I'm going to make him the right guard so that we can really capitalize on that right side. Priest saying, must have been Mike Jordan's agent. For those of you who are following the basketball series, I am plagued by missing out on Mike Jordan in the recruiting period. So, the Mike Jordan's agent told me to never trust a basketball coach in coaching a football team. Yeah, I wonder if anybody's kind of curious, like, hey, didn't this guy just coach Hawaii basketball for 2 years? Now he's taking over at San Diego State. But, hey, look, coaches are coaches. You know, if you know how to coach, you know what you're doing. Look at this here. Francisco Liu is 6'7". That's pretty intriguing. Ty Ammons is 6'8", too. Is he good enough to play? Interestingly, he is. 90 pass blocker here. Decent endurance. And he's skilled at the position. This is interesting. Okay, so I feel good about right guard. That's Francisco Liu. End of story. No questions asked. Left guard is where it's going to be pretty interesting. Let me make sure that Scott Taylor... Is there handedness here? There is, right? No? Do we care about his handedness? I don't know if there is. I thought there was handedness, but there might not be, so... we'll just assume that this is a tried and true righty here. So when we're looking at this guard spot, obviously, I mean, pass blocking, right? Like you're not necessarily picking your guard, your left guard based on their pass blocking skills. But we do have 2 guys that are elite pass blockers. Ty Ammons is a much worse run blocker. But here's the thing. He's much more skilled at the position. To me, that means that he's going to make fewer lapses in terms of, his protection. I would have to think that's going to help in pass protection. I'm okay kind of suffering a little bit in my run blocking there just because we do have a pretty talented running back that I think can kind of make up for that deficiency. But if we put a really bad pass blocker there, I'm worried about Scott Taylor being able to have the opportunity to do what he's going to do. And then you look over here, I mean, Ty Ammons is 6'8". He's got that 76 strength as well. A bit smarter at the position. He's faster. He's a better pass blocker. He's way more skilled. He has more endurance. Really, the only thing we're giving up here is 16 points as a run blocker. And that's not nothing. 16 points is certainly significant. But my gut tells me that Ty Ammons might be the better bet here as our starting left guard. And I could be wrong there, but that's kind of what my gut is telling me. And then I think we have John Huey as our backup left guard. And then who did one as our backup right guard here? Between Marshall Sullivan and Michael Chapman. Looks like their strength's pretty much the same. He's a little more agile. He's way smarter there. Better pass blocker. Again, he's also a worse run blocker. And he's less skilled. That's a pretty interesting competition between Marshall Sullivan and Michael Chapman. Nice to see that Francisco lose an athletic blocker there. But in terms of the other guys, this is kind of tough between Sullivan and Chapman. They're both freshmen. And, I'm kind of wondering if maybe we redshirt the one that doesn't make it here. Marshall Sullivan, that skill is just so low, and that concerns me. I know that might not quite be as important for guards as it is for, say a quarterback or a linebacker or something like that. But, man, I know we're giving up some in the run game there by having Sullivan. I think we do Michael Chapman. I really do. He's not as smart. He's definitely not as smart, but he's more skilled. He's a better run blocker. And I think I just feel better about it. But it's a backup anyway, so it's probably not a decision that we're going to be haunted by. But that's how I'm going to set it on the depth chart. Is I'm going to have Chapman and then Sullivan as the third right guard. And then Raymond Bradshaw, I guess as another backup at left guard. We're going to have to redshirt some of these guys. I don't know which one. Probably redshirt one of these players and maybe redshirt the one that we actually feel like is going to be in our future. I don't know. Raymond Bradshaw's probably not ready for the big stage. But we'll see. We'll make that decision down the line. And then center. This should be a pretty easy call here. Raymond Lackey, look at that. Look at that. Star freshman. And he is a monster run blocker. Monster run blocker. Ricky Lovelace. Man, I love that name. Oh, look at that. Look at the mohawk. Look at the mohawk on Ricky Lovelace. Honestly, that might earn him the spot here. Let's see if anybody's got any... Oh, Ray Lyles. Look at that combative rascal. He's an athletic blocker, combative rascal. We got Ricky Lovelace as a stubborn chameleon. William Lackey's the gifted outcast. I love it. Absolutely love it. Ricky Lovelace, pretty good leader, too. Don't mind seeing that from your starting center. But who's actually going to be better on the field here? So, Lovelace is stronger. Pretty convincingly so. He's more agile. He's faster. He's a much better pass blocker. But he's just an infinitely inferior run blocker. I mean, significantly so. But he's also more skilled. This is a tough one. This is absolutely a training camp battle. And Lovelace worked hard. I think Lovelace is one of the bigger risers in training camp. He's bigger. He's bigger, stronger, faster, smarter. But he just doesn't know how to block in the run game. And if I'm going to be trying to pick, my starting five up front with a run-first approach, I kind of think it's got to be William Lackey. So I think William Lackey is going to be the starter here. Ricky Lovelace, very, very good. Honestly, might even bring in Ricky Lovelace in passing situations. It seems a little silly. Probably would tip off the other team. But, maybe in spread formations or something like that, Ricky Lovelace could be our starting center. I don't know if that's really a smart idea, but makes sense to me. And then Ray Lyles, not really ready to play. He's a sophomore. He's 6'7". I guess there's something to work with there, but I'm just not really seeing it. I think I'm going to redshirt him. I mean, I know that leaves us with only two centers, but we can just break the redshirt. Like, he's not good. He's not a good player. So, all right, I think that does it for the offense. We're coming up on an hour, so I think that's a good amount of time for this one. Oh, man, I was going to say we could pick our punter and kicker, but even that's kind of a competition here. Maybe let's we'll save it for next time. All right. I think that's probably good. We'll go ahead and set the defensive depth chart next time. That'll transition well into us knowing our full roster, being able to tweak some of our game plan stuff, and then maybe we can fully hop into recruiting right after that. Have a full episode of recruiting, and then go right into that week 1 showdown with Winston-Salem. Should be a fun one. Maybe if we simulate, maybe the schedule gods will add something else for us week 1. Might see what's happening there. But that was a lot of fun. Sorry for the technical hiccups right in the middle there. I think it was my computer because I just restarted and everything worked properly. So go ahead and curse the people that made this nice Asus Zephyrus G14. Not a promo. I do not work for them. In fact, I am disparaging that company. So apologies for that, but appreciate you guys helping me out with the depth chart. You guys made some pretty good points here. Helped me figure out especially that receiver room. I was a little vexed there, and I feel a lot better about what we're going to be doing there in the passing game. And especially, man, with Scott Taylor as our quarterback, I think that dude could be an absolute stud this year. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So that'll do it for this one. Like I said, next week we'll go ahead and set the defensive depth chart, and we'll tweak our game plan, specifically for our week 1 opponent, but also just kind of set a general season game plan. Really try to lean into the strengths of our offensive and defensive coordinators, as Parm 420 was mentioning. Really wanting to play into the strengths of our coaching staff there. So we'll do a full episode there. That'll be the day before the game comes out, so I think that'll be a pretty fitting way to lead into the full release of the game, looking deep into those game planning options, which in my opinion is the most impressive thing that has been improved in this year's version. There's just a mind-blowing amount of detail that goes into that game plan, and especially there's a feature that I know isn't fully implemented right now, but will be, I think, by the time this game releases, which is counter strategy stuff. I know Asger's working pretty hard on that. I'm thrilled to see what the full result of that is, because I think that is going to be, just the tease preview that I've seen him talking kind of internally about what's going to happen there, and the amount of control that you're going to be able to have to specifically game plan against opponents' plays and formations. Unreal. Honestly, mind-blowing stuff. I'm super, super excited for it. So that's what we'll be doing next week. 3 things before we go. Number 1, like one of you did already, like I said, reach out to me. Who was it there? I'm trying to scroll up. I can't see it. But there you go. Tinclad Lad. Like Tinclad Lad did. He subscribed right in the middle of the episode. Look at that. Just went ahead and dropped the sub. Really appreciate that. So if any of you, any of the rest of you, please subscribe to our Twitch channel. We really appreciate it. It means a lot. Helps out the company a little bit financially, just a little bit to help support streams like this, the videos that we do, and obviously the production of these awesome games that we all love so much. If you do subscribe, and you get a free subscription every month just by linking your Twitch account with your Amazon Prime account. If you do subscribe, shoot me a screenshot, let me know that you subscribed, and I will let you in on the secret of the best beach that I have ever been to in my entire life. Hint, it is related to the San Diego State Warriors, so definitely don't want to miss out on that. Second thing, don't forget to post about your teams and your careers tomorrow with hashtag Franchise Friday on Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, Discord, Slack, and our original Wolverine Studios forums. Love seeing what's going on in your guys' careers, especially this new college football game, the careers you guys have going in First Access. I really want to see what you guys are cooking up